In the heart of the university, everyone knew about the notorious trio, Lucas, Raphael, and Joel. They were inseparable, always walking together with confident strides and challenging glares. It was common to see them strutting across the campus, laughing loudly and making audacious remarks. Despite skipping classes and missing deadlines, they somehow managed to maintain the highest grades, leading many to suspect they had connections within the administration or even with influential professors. Rumors swirled that Raphael's uncle was a close friend of the university's director. This speculation was whispered among students as they waited for their chemistry class to begin. That would explain a lot, Sophia remarked thoughtfully to her friend. However, there was no concrete evidence to support these suspicions, only the ever-present looks of distrust that followed the trio. In addition to their questionable academic practices, Lucas, Raphael, and Joel were infamous for their cruel pastime of mocking those they deemed inferior. Whether it was a classmate with simple clothing or a professor with a different accent, no one was safe from their ridicule. One day, as they traversed the campus, Lucas pointed at a fellow student with an old backpack, making a derogatory comment about where he might have found it. Raphael, always ready to join in, added a snide remark about a professor's poor English. Joel, the ringleader, burst into loud laughter, encouraging his friends further. For many, their presence was akin to that of predators, always on the lookout for their next victim. A second-year student confided to her friend about how unbearable the trio's antics were, recalling how Lucas had knocked her book to the ground the previous day, laughing as if it were the funniest thing in the world. And the worst part is they know they can get away with it. It's like no one has the courage to stand up to them, she added. The general sentiment was one of frustration and helplessness. Everyone knew something needed to change, but the trio seemed untouchable. Fully aware of their impunity, they felt free to offend, ridicule, and even physically intimidate anyone who crossed their path, treating the university as their personal playground. However, change was on the horizon. On a sunny afternoon, Andre, a recently transferred student, decided to challenge their tyranny. He had heard the rumors but was determined not to be just another victim. When he saw Lucas knock a classmate's books to the ground, Andre stepped in with a firm stare. "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" he challenged, helping the classmate gather his books. Lucas, surprised by the confrontation, looked to Raphael and Joel for support. Raphael, with a sarcastic smile, shrugged. "Who are you to tell us what to do?" Joel sneered. Unfazed, Andre retorted, "I'm someone who believes in justice and respect. You three could learn something about that." Despite Andre's bravery, his attempt to stand up to the trio didn't have the desired effect. They mocked him, making jokes about the campus hero. However, something had shifted. People began to murmur, admiring Andre's courage. The resignation that had previously permeated the atmosphere started to dissipate, and a seed of resistance was planted. At the beginning of the semester, the Advanced Technologies and Design department welcomed a new student named Brenda. With her long brown hair, expressive eyes, and confident demeanor, she stood out. Her attire was simple and unassuming, contrasting with the sophistication of many students in the department. Her shoes were basic, her bag lacked a visible brand, and her clothes, while well-maintained, were modest. Despite her appearance, Brenda had come from one of the country's most prestigious schools, known for producing top professionals. As Brenda walked to her first class, Lucas, Raphael, and Joel observed from a distance, ready to make their usual snide comments. "Look at the new girl," Lucas said with a sarcastic smile. "She looks like she borrowed her clothes from her great-grandmother. I bet she's from the countryside, maybe a farm or something. Her parents probably spent all their savings to send her here. She must be on a scholarship," Raphael added, never missing a chance to join in the mockery. "And I bet her town is so remote they don't even have internet. She probably thinks Wi-Fi is some kind of food," Joel chimed in, satisfied with his observation. What the trio didn't realize was that Brenda was not just any girl from the countryside. Behind her simple appearance was a rich and complex story. Her parents were not humble farmers, as they imagined, but renowned intellectuals. However, for Lucas, Raphael, and Joel, raised in luxury and accustomed to judging people by their wealth, this detail was irrelevant. Brenda continued on her way, ignoring their hurtful comments, focused on her goal of excelling at the university. Hearing their painful remarks, she felt a mix of indignation and pity. She stopped, took a deep breath, and slowly turned to face the trio. Her eyes shone with determination and confidence. You know, it's better to be seen as an authentic, genuine country girl than a hollow shell covered in labels. You hide behind your parents' money, but what do you really have inside? What's left when you strip away all that superficial shine? She stepped closer to Joel and continued, the world has a funny way of surprising us, and the wheel of fortune turns for everyone. Today you're on top, but do you really believe your arrogant attitude and toxic behavior will keep you there? The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on the scene. The students, who had felt oppressed by the trio for so long, now witnessed someone confronting them head-on. When Brenda finished, there was a moment of silence before the room erupted in applause and cheers. Many students stood up, applauding Brenda for her courage and eloquence. The trio, on the other hand, looked stunned and speechless. For the first time in a long time, they were disarmed and exposed. The looks that had once been filled with fear and submission now shone with a new light of respect and admiration for Brenda. Trying to maintain his composure, Raphael murmured to Lucas that it was a low blow and she had no right. Still shocked, Lucas replied, he may have caught us off guard now, but we won't let this go. Joel, the most affected by Brenda's retaliation, felt his face burn with shame. He looked around and realized the dynamics had changed. She's going to regret this, he whispered, more to himself than to his friends. Although the trio tried to maintain a facade of indifference, it was clear they were deeply hurt. They weren't used to being challenged, let alone publicly humiliated. In the days that followed, while Brenda continued her academic journey with dignity and grace, the trio met in secret, plotting their revenge. They couldn't let the affront go unpunished. Joel, with a resentful look, said, she might be the darling of the moment, but it won't last long. We have to put her in her place. Raphael, rubbing his hands anxiously, added, yeah, she needs to learn that she can't just humiliate people like us and get away with it. Lucas, always calculating, said, we need to act smart. We have to do this the right way without rushing into anything. Brenda, with her strong and determined demeanor, quickly became a prominent figure at the university. It wasn't just her courage in facing the dreaded trio that stood out, but also her academic dedication. The library became her second home, and it wasn't uncommon to see her studying late into the night. Did you see Brenda's grade on the last exam? She outperformed all of us, a classmate commented to her friend. And that's not all, the friend replied. She was also chosen to represent our university in an international design competition. She's incredible. The professors also noticed her talent. Brenda has a brilliant mind, one professor remarked during a faculty meeting. She not only understands concepts quickly but also has the ability to apply them innovatively. While Brenda reaped the rewards of her hard work and dedication, the trio continued to plot in the shadows. Joel, with a resentful look, said, she might be the darling of the moment, but it won't last long. As Brenda continued to shine, the trio remained determined to reclaim their position and make Brenda pay for her audacity. She focused on her future, unaware of the danger looming. On a cloudy afternoon, the trio gathered on the terrace of an upscale cafe overlooking the bustling city center. Joel, with a cunning look, outlined his plan, emphasizing each word to ensure his friends understood the genius behind his idea. Listen, Joel began, we're going to play a game of charm and cunning. We'll pretend everything that happened is in the past and project a new, positive image. I'll invite her to my 25th birthday party at the most sophisticated restaurant in the city. Raphael, with a sarcastic smile, interrupted, let me guess, you think she'll show up in one of those simple, mismatched dresses while we'll all be impeccably dressed in designer clothes. Exactly, Joel exclaimed. And when she's there, feeling out of place, we'll film every embarrassing moment and share it on social media. She'll never cross our path again. Lucas, always more cautious, questioned, what if she gets suspicious? What if she doesn't come? Joel, confident, replied, she'll come. We'll make her believe we're genuinely trying to make peace, and she won't expect a thing. Raphael laughed, imagining the scene in his mind. This is going to be epic. She thinks she can challenge us, but we'll show her where she belongs. Despite his initial reservations, Lucas couldn't help but get caught up in his friend's excitement. It will be the perfect payback. She'll never see it coming. The trio raised their glasses, sealing their Machiavellian plan, while the city below continued its frenetic routine, oblivious to the schemes unfolding above. Joel, with his meticulous nature, had already booked a renowned restaurant located in the heart of the city's most elegant neighborhood. With a panoramic view of the city and a luxurious ambience, it was the perfect setting for their plan. "I've sent the invitations by email and social media to everyone," Joel said, showing the guest list on his tablet to his friends. "But for Brenda, I thought of something more personal." The next day, Joel, dressed in a well-fitted suit and holding a golden envelope, approached Brenda in the university garden. "Brenda," he began gently, "I wanted to personally give you this invitation to my 25th birthday party. It would be an honor to have you there. We've had our disagreements, but maybe this is a chance to start over." Brenda, a bit surprised, looked deeply into Joel's eyes, searching for any hint of malice but found only what seemed to be genuine sincerity. "Well, Joel, I'm flattered. I'll be there," she replied, accepting the invitation with a cautious smile. What Brenda didn't know was that she was walking straight into the web the trio had spun for her. She turned and continued on her way, contemplating what she would wear for the occasion. Joel watched her walk away with a triumphant smile on his lips. He quickly sent a message to Lucas and Raphael. She accepted. Phase 1 complete. The meticulously crafted plan by Joel, Lucas, and Raphael was in full swing, and the trio's confidence was at an all-time high. They were convinced that Brenda, the country girl, would be the laughingstock at the party. However, they were about to discover that appearances can be deceiving. What they didn't know was that behind Brenda's simplicity lay a rich and complex story. Her parents were not the humble farmers they imagined but renowned intellectuals. For the trio, raised in luxury and accustomed to judging people by their wealth, this detail was irrelevant. "What's an academic title compared to a fat bank account?" Lucas used to say, echoing the group's sentiment. Raphael, laughing, once commented, "Whether you're a PhD professor or a sweaty truck driver, it's all the same to me. What matters is what you have in your pocket, not in your head." Blinded by their arrogance and prejudice, they continued to underestimate Brenda. To immortalize what they believed would be Brenda's downfall, the trio invested heavily in technology. They hired a professional team to install high-definition cameras at strategic points in the restaurant, ensuring that everything would be streamed live on major social media platforms. "This is going to be epic. Imagine her face when she realizes the whole world is watching her humiliation," Raphael exclaimed, rubbing his hands in anticipation. Lucas, looking at the equipment, commented, "Nothing but the best to capture our triumph, right?" The week seemed endless for them. Their anxiety grew each day, and their hunger for revenge became even more intense. They could hardly wait for Saturday, the day when, in their minds, they would reclaim the respect and status they believed they had lost thanks to Brenda. On the day of the party, dressed impeccably in designer suits, the trio made a triumphant entrance into the restaurant, arriving in a red convertible specially rented for the occasion. They disembarked under the watchful eyes of the arriving guests. "Let's make sure everything is working perfectly," Joel said, discreetly checking the cameras and giving the signal for the specialists to start the live stream. As the restaurant's dining hall filled with guests, Joel, with a champagne glass in hand, moved gracefully among the groups, accepting warm greetings and luxurious gifts. However, his blue eyes constantly scanned the entrance for any sign of Brenda's presence. Raphael, noticing Joel's anxiety, commented, "She's probably getting ready. You know, women always take a while to prepare." Lucas, always more skeptical, let out a sarcastic laugh. "Or maybe she realized how out of place she'd be at a party like this. I bet the country girl got scared of being the center of attention and decided to stay home, avoiding more humiliation." Trying to maintain his composure, Joel took a gulp of his drink and said, "Maybe you're right, Lucas. Maybe she realized she doesn't belong in this world and decided to spare us her presence." However, deep down, a pang of disappointment hit Joel. He had meticulously planned every detail of the night, and Brenda's absence threatened to ruin everything. The night was in full swing when the sound of a powerful engine caught everyone's attention. A long, imposing black limousine began to slowly glide towards the restaurant entrance. The city lights reflected off the polished surface of the vehicle, creating an almost magical effect. Joel, Lucas, and Raphael exchanged curious looks. "Who the hell arrives in a limousine at my party?" Joel muttered to himself. The atmosphere was charged with expectation. The guests stopped their conversations and turned their attention to the limousine. The silence was almost palpable. Then, the limousine door slowly opened, revealing a pair of elegant heels. Brenda emerged, stunning in a dress that sparkled under the restaurant lights. The subtly draped fabric hugged her curves, and the sophisticated design screamed haute couture. Her hair, once simple, was now styled in soft waves, framing her face. Beside her, a young man with an upright posture and confident demeanor stepped out of the car. Dressed in an impeccable suit, he offered Brenda his arm, and together they walked towards the entrance. Joel was speechless, barely able to recognize the girl he had tried to humiliate. With a radiant smile, Brenda approached and extended a beautifully wrapped package. "Happy birthday, Joel," she said with a soft but firm voice. He took the present, still in shock, and upon opening a small part of the wrapping, saw the shine of a prestigious brand watch. His eyes widened. How did you get this? I thought you were." "Well, you know," Joel stammered, clearly disconcerted. With a playful smile, Brenda let out a contagious laugh, causing some nearby guests to turn and see what was happening. Then she looked directly into Joel's eyes and said with a touch of sarcasm, "Oh, Joel, who told you I come from a humble family? Was it because of my simple and unassuming wardrobe? I choose to dress like this because, to me, flaunting wealth is in extremely poor taste. Just so you know, my father is the CEO of one of the country's largest companies, and my mother, well, she's the dean of this university. But I prefer to keep my personal and academic life separate. I don't like to flaunt my background, unlike some people around here." The ensuing silence was almost deafening. Lucas and Raphael were speechless, their faces cycling through expressions of surprise and embarrassment. The arrogance that once radiated from them had been replaced by a look of shock. The surrounding guests exchanged amused glances and whispers. The trio's attempt to humiliate Brenda had backfired spectacularly, and now they were the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. They had undoubtedly become the night's laughingstock. In a corner of the restaurant, Alex, the young man accompanying Brenda, conversed animatedly with some guests. His well-fitted suit and designer shoes showcased his wealth, but it was his charisma and intelligence that truly impressed. He was known in the business world for his acumen and ability to close million-dollar deals with an 8-figure investment portfolio. "Did you know Alex has business partnerships with the parents of those three?" a guest whispered to another, discreetly pointing towards Joel, Lucas, and Raphael. Alex, noticing the glances directed at him, approached the trio and said with an ironic smile, "Joel, Lucas, Raphael, I believe our contracts are going well, aren't they?" The trio, still recovering from the earlier shock, now had to deal with the fact that Brenda's boyfriend was not only wealthy but also had direct influence over their futures and their family's businesses. I didn't know you knew each other," Joel stammered, clearly uncomfortable. "There are many things you don't know," Brenda replied, linking her arm with Alex's. As if the universe were conspiring against them, the trio soon realized that the cameras they had installed to capture Brenda's supposed humiliation were, in fact, broadcasting their own embarrassment live to the entire university. Their plan had not only failed miserably, but now they were the center of attention and laughter. Meanwhile, Brenda and Alex, immersed in their own bubble of happiness, laughed and danced, celebrating the love they had shared for years, oblivious to the chaos unfolding around them. In a distant corner of the restaurant, Joel, Lucas, and Raphael huddled together, trying to hide from the critical glances of the guests. The atmosphere around them was heavy, and the silence between them was deafening. Each was lost in their own thoughts, brooding over the humiliation they had suffered. "I can't believe this happened," Lucas murmured, staring at the floor. "This is a nightmare," Raphael replied, looking distant. Joel, the birthday boy, simply sighed deeply, feeling the weight of his actions. "We really underestimated Brenda," he admitted. The next morning, the campus was buzzing with gossip and laughter. Social media was flooded with videos and memes from the previous night. The trio's humiliation became the most talked about topic, and Brenda was elevated to the status of a heroine who had finally put the arrogant playboys in their place. "Did you see the video? They were completely lost," a student exclaimed. "Brenda is amazing. She really showed them," said another. Under pressure and shame, the trio had no choice but to apologize publicly. In an act of humility, they gathered in the university's central courtyard before a crowd of students and apologized for their behavior. "We are truly sorry for everything we did," Joel said with a trembling voice. "We were wrong, and we hope everyone can forgive us." Brenda, always gracious, accepted their apologies and, in a gesture of kindness, extended her hand in reconciliation. "We all make mistakes," she said. "The important thing is to learn from them and grow as individuals." And so, the university learned a valuable lesson about humility, forgiveness, and the true meaning of character. Brenda's courage and integrity had not only changed the dynamics at the university but also left a lasting impact on everyone who witnessed the events unfold.